Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Burger. So our journey on Crazy Burger with retro gaming videos, that is, began in 2017 with the original C64 Mini, and I thoroughly enjoyed covering those videos at the time, and they were quite successful, and it really has got me to where I am today. Now we have the C64 Mini Black Edition, 2025, 8 years later. Yep, we've come a long way. This now includes 25 incredible new games, also indie sort of backed related, released in the last few years. So I'm really looking forward to trying them. I think this really is all about these games. So without further ado, let's have a look at it. Let's play through some of the games and I'll give you my opinion if it's worth buying. So before we get it unboxed, let's have an actual look at it. We've obviously got the cover star here, Sam's Journey, which actually sells for $23.99 currently on itch.io. That's just the digital version, which is kind of mind-blowing. So I'm not saying all the games are worth that type of money on here. Some are actually free on itch.io. So there is a mixed sort of bag. These are the characters from Millie and Molly. I'm not sure which one is which. Maybe Millie, maybe Molly, who knows. But yep, the world's best-selling mini home computer. Now, as I said, we've got 25 built-in games. We don't even have the full list, or the full picture list at least, on here. We've just got a select few of them. You can also load your own games via USB as before, so hopefully it's got the most updated firmware, which I would expect. They really have perfected that since the original release way back in 2017. Full list is there, as you can see, but we will go through that in detail. A Pig's Quest is an absolute cracking game. Good Knight was really good. Grid Picks I absolutely loved. There's lots of really cool games in here, and obviously I'm not going to play them in detail in this video. I'll probably keep that separate, and I guess at some point I'll do a sort of ranking video as well. But there's a lot of really good stuff in here, and I really do love Millie and Molly as well. That is an absolute favourite of mine. Sam's Journey as well is a really cool game. Yeti Mountain, released in the last few years, is good as well. Good stuff here. Now, just having a quick look around the actual box. Just some details on the bottom here, nothing totally special. On the side, we've got just what's in the box. The Black Edition, the Mini Black Edition. You've got the Joystick Black Edition. Hopefully that's better than the original, because the original was awful. You can also use the joypad as well, which we'll try in the video. You've got an HDMI cable, thankfully. You've got a power cable. You've got an instruction manual. And the keyboard, again, is not functional, so you have to use the virtual keyboard feature included. You can actually plug in your own sort of keyboard, and there's some details about the power that you should ideally use. There's no AC adapter included. And on the other side, we've got just some details about the HDMI output, 720p, pixel perfect display, blah, 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 the usual stuff. You get save function, I'm pretty sure it'll be 4 save slots per game. And you can connect a USB and add your own games. So let's get this thing unboxed. C64 Mini Black Edition. Anyway, here we are. It's obviously not changed much since the original Mini. It's pretty much even the same sort of packaging. Obviously it's all in that lovely sort of black style. As I said, this really is all about the games. So this basically just pulls straight out. It's obviously almost encased. It's so nicely encased that I really don't want to open it up. But I guess we have to. We'll obviously have a look at this first. It does look nice and shiny. I don't remember the original being shiny, but obviously, sadly, this is just plastic, you know. It just looks nice, but does nothing. It's not a functionable keyboard at all. Now let's have a look all the way around. It's obviously exactly the same. We've got the power in. Now, interesting, I think they've probably upgraded this to the USB-C, and you've got your HDMI output, and you've got 2 USBs around the side. I guess you could probably put in a working keyboard, which would be fine. I'm sure that will work, and you'll also be able to put in another joypad, or you can put in your USB for added games. Now we'll obviously try and have a look at that as best we can, but this video isn't really about added games. And this is your on-off switch right here. On the bottom of the unit is just some details. I don't think there's any serial numbers on it. Yeah, there's no serials. I'm kind of surprised they didn't add some serial numbers for these, considering they are some sort of a limited edition anyway, because it's this black version. But yeah, that is what it is. Model RGL001. Let's have a look what else is in the box. So also in the box you've got your, I think this is just your USB power cable. There is also your HDMI cable, which is nice to see. Not everything includes an HDMI cable. There's also a quick guide, which we'll have a look in a minute once we've got everything open up. Now let's have a look at the actual joystick that's included. That's all that's left in the actual box. And lastly, obviously we've got the joystick, which, oh, it definitely gives me nightmares, this thing. I don't remember it being that clicky. Perhaps I've made some sort of improvements to this. It does look kind of the same. There's some protective stickers or covers over the buttons there. Yeah, it's got a reasonable length cable. Seems quite clicky. I mean, I'm pretty sure we're going to see some of these broken at some point. I've definitely seen lots of the original one broken. It does seem more clicky than I remember it. You've got quite a lot of function buttons on the back here as well. Yeah, who knows if it's better or not. To be honest, it's one of the things I got rid of with the first C64 Mini and got myself some sort of joypad to use. But yeah, it's probably not the best joystick at all. But I guess I'll need to wait until we actually use it for real. I'll try this and a joypad and I'll let you know my thoughts. And obviously last, before we plug on the C64 Mini, we've got the quick guide which will give you some details about the actual unit, but I'm pretty sure there'll be more details online if you need some help regarding the games. There'll be instructions, I guess, for each of the games and details about how to do various things. Obviously we've got the original C64 Mini, lots of videos on those that you can use if you do get stuck. You can access the basic programming as well, which is quite cool, and tells you how to actually use all the different functions here. I'm pretty sure if you've never had one before, then definitely have a little browse through it before you get started. The various different sections on English, French, I guess, let me have a look, Spanish as well, Dutch, Italian in this book, but there's only a couple of pages per language. But yeah, I think that's basically it. It's pretty straightforward. What we're going to do now is get the machine booted up. We'll have a look through the different settings, have a look through the games, and then we'll play through some of the games as well. So certainly one of the first things I need to point out is obviously the joystick is very, very clicky, but having a quick bash at the games, it is quite responsive. There's no doubt about it. It is very much improved since the original one, but I definitely get a bit annoyed with the over sort of clicky nature of the actual joystick. Though that might be your thing, you might really like it. At least it does seem improved over the original, but I'm pretty sure some people end up breaking them nonetheless. But it is what it is. Let's have a look at an alternative that I've obviously got with the Amiga Mini, and I use with the Spectrum as well. So gladly you can replace it and use a sort of gamepad. This is the gamepad that you can use with pretty much most of the mini machines, and it's reasonably decent. Obviously you got a D-pad instead of a joystick, and you can use the sort of home button, which takes you back to the main menu. It's alright. I think it's a reasonably decent alternative if you don't really like the joystick, which I don't really like doing, but I will play through a variety of the games with both, and I'll let you know my final decision. Okay guys, so once you've got set up, you usually have to choose your language and the sort of 50Hz or 60Hz, which is in the options below here. So basically you've got the computer model to choose from. You can choose either PAL or NTSC. Not really sure which one you want to choose, but I would maybe just choose the one that's in your area. That'll probably become more apparent when you're maybe playing some games that you've owned or you've added to the USB yourself. Boot mode, you obviously can jump into the classic mode from here as well if you want to. Obviously you've got the carousel. I'm not going to touch on the basic side of it at the moment. Might touch that in a later video. Obviously that's there if you want to sort of mess about with the basic. Obviously with virtual keyboard, it's an absolute nightmare to get stuck into. You really need to get yourself a keyboard if you're interested in that type of thing. So we'll stick to the carousel for now. Obviously it talks about the USB keyboard if you're adding one, and you've got legal notices. A few names there that's obviously involved. System information, now this will probably be I'll tell you the latest firmware if you've got that. I'm pretty sure there'll be firmware updates because I've noticed a few things already that probably should be included, but they aren't. So you obviously want to shut down the device. This is the way to do it, or just hold down the on off button, and you can do a factory reset here as well. In this option here, basically choose the language, and you can choose 50Hz or 60Hz. That's basically the only options here. and you can choose the 6 different options. You get pixel perfect, or you can add some scan lines variants there as well. Personally, I'm just going to stick it to pixel perfect. I don't think there's much point in messing about. You might want to prefer some scan lines on these if you like, but yeah, I'm not really that bothered, to be honest. That's really it. There's not really an awful lot to talk about, because it looks like basically the what you see here, it is what was on the original C64 Mini. Obviously the games are different, but the actual interface seems pretty much identical. I'm sure it's the same music as well. You can turn that off using the 3rd button on the joystick. It does get a little bit annoying after a while, so I might actually just leave that off so it doesn't start to annoy you. You can swivel the way you see the game layout as well by pressing the 1st button. That just gives you a different sort of layout of the games. Obviously you need to highlight the games. You can swivel them by author, by composer, by genre if you really want, or by year. That's maybe more interesting, or by title. And also there's 25 games here. Now, one thing that I definitely noticed is missing is the save states. Now, if you want to sort of find the save states, now in the recent minis you could find them on each game. You would just pull down on the joystick and you would get access to 4 save states. But if you want to access the save states, you need to obviously start the game. Now, the buttons on the joystick are super sensitive. So if you press the menu button on the joystick, you've got your save and load states here. This is where they're actually located. So if you want to actually go into your save states or load states, you need to go start the actual game and then choose this, and then you can then obviously choose what slot you've got, and you can tell the buttons that save and loading is on the bottom there, which correspond on the joystick at the bottom. Now, if you're using a different setup like the joypad that you had there, or the gamepad, sorry, that might differ. You might have to mess about to figure out which button is which, and that's probably one of the problems that lies, that you're not entirely sure which is which. So it does get a little bit confusing. You can obviously get access to the virtual keyboard as well. You can see it just appears down the right in case you need to insert some sort of your name, or some sort of press a button to start, the F1 button or something to start a game. You can see the function buttons are at the bottom of the screen. And obviously you want to exit the game, just go back and scroll over and press exit game. That is basically it. So a little bit different. It's obviously the same as it was in the original Mini. I'm really surprised it didn't update that function to the latest Minis, which is much better, where you can access the save states for each game a little bit easier. But I guess it is what it is. I'm surprised they didn't change it, because the sort of style that they've got here does seem a little bit old hat compared to what we're used to these days. The other thing that definitely noticed was the lack of button mapping, which is now in more of the latest minis. So that would be nice to add, because I think if you've got the gamepad, for example, it'd be good to sort of change some of the button layout so that perhaps one of the buttons corresponds to jump rather than pressing up. That's really just a pick for me. So hopefully they'll add that at some point. I didn't see anywhere to button map some of the stuff for each game, so it is what it is. We kind of just have to get on with it. But I'm surprised, considering their huge sort of knowledge that they now have of all the minis that they've created. It's something they've not actually added to automatically to this mini. It just seems like they've just done a quick fix, added all the games, and that's it. They've basically chucked it out. This is it. So it does feel exactly the same except the game. So that is a little bit strange. I'm sure there's obviously other changes that they've done, but other than that, that's all I can see. I'm sure I'll think of other things as we're going. Now, the actual joystick included it's actually quite responsive, and it's very, very hypersensitive. So it's certainly an improvement over the original joystick. There's no doubt about it. The original joystick was ridiculously stiff for moving and playing certain games. It was basically a no-go for a lot of the games. But I have to say that it is actually an improvement. Although I think it will vary from game to game which sort of type of device you prefer sort of playing with. Maybe the gamepad might suit some of the games better. And one example I actually thought of was, I sort of had a quick bash at Grid Picks, for example, and I felt that the joystick just didn't suit this style of game at all. I felt sort of moving and trying to create the sort of shapes there, or the picture, it was easier to use the D-pad rather than using the joystick to control that. So it's going to be a bit hit and miss, sort of comparing game to game, for example. Joystick will probably be okay for a lot of it, but yeah, it's definitely going to vary. So let's have a quick look at the games before I play through all the games very briefly, and I'll give you my overall thoughts. Obviously, I will play through the games more in-depthly in a future video. It's just going to end up far too long a video for this one, so I want to try and keep it reasonably short. So you've got a Pig Quest, which is only from 2023. This was well received back in the day, a really decent adventure sort of platform style game. We've got Caren and the Tangled Tentacles, not easy to say. That was from 2015. I think that's a point and click adventure. That's not something you see often on the C64. Galencia Mini, this is from 2017. Obviously, it's inspired by Galaxian. I would expect it's actually really good, nice and colourful. A Good Night was from last year, which I really enjoyed. I purchased that and finished it. Unfortunately, it is quite a short game, so it won't take you that long to complete. And it's a sort of single screen, almost a Mario inspired game a little bit, just very briefly, just with the fact you need to jump onto the sort of flagpole there. But it's really good. It's quite challenging. It is good fun. Really good. Good picks. Massive favourite of mine. I loved this game. This is from 2020. There is even an Xmas edition, so I wonder if that will become unlockable at some point or another. That would be nice to see. That was a free release a couple of years ago. This is a really good game. It's obviously a Picross style game, and it's very good. I played that one through. There's 100 sort of puzzles to solve. It is very good. Very addictive as well. We've got Guns and Ghosts. That's a sort of single screen, clear the enemies type of thing. Classed as a shoot 'em up, but it's quite basic, but it's quite good fun for what it is. We've got Hessian. This is from 2018. It's a shoot 'em up platform sci-fi action adventure, and that's pretty decent. Hunter's Moon Remastered. This is the sort of recently remastered version that has a nice sort of intro to it as well. This one's pretty good. I sort of class as a shoot 'em up, but yeah, it's pretty decent. It's Magic 2, a sort of platform style game. I think collect all the gems and stuff, I think, if I recall. So it's only from a couple of years ago. Nice and colourful graphics, that certainly stands out. We've got Joe Gunn Gold Edition. That's a Indiana Jones inspired, obviously, platform puzzle style game. This one's very addictive too. Knight and Grail, another fantastic adventure style, Metroid style adventure, which is just fantastic. Really good stuff. This is from 2009. Incredible stuff. So we get Metal Warrior Ultra from 2020. A sort of action adventure, another action adventure shoot 'em up game. We've got Millie and Molly. I absolutely loved this game as well. This is also from 2020. This is a single screen sort of puzzle game, which I absolutely love, but this one gets ferociously tough towards the end of the sort of game. You will get to a point where you probably think that the puzzles are no way achievable, but they are, and wow, stick with it. I probably took me about 3 months to actually finish this game, but I loved it. It was superb. Nixy and the Seeds of Doom. It's an adventure game from 2024. Basically, it's a platformer. We've got Ooze, The Escape, kind of tricky single screen action platformer. We've got P.O. Snake or Po Snake. Probably P.O. Snake, I don't know. That one's interesting. I've not played that one an awful lot, but I'll certainly give it a bash. We've got Pains and Aches, another sort of adventure platformy style game from the sequel to Knight and Grail, so I'd expect that'd be pretty decent. Not one I've played a lot. Now, Planet Golf, I've actually got stuck into that for a preview video for this actual mini, and it's ridiculously addictive. Simple stuff, but wow, it sort of reminds you more like a phone style game. Brilliant stuff though, very addictive. Rocky Memphis is an adventure game. Don't know an awful lot about that one. Runn N Gunn is another game from Carlton Handley. I think he's got 3 or 4 games on here from him. Another decent game, so Runn N Gunn game, obviously a shoot 'em up. Pretty decent, pretty short though. Sam's Journey, now this is probably the big seller of all the games on this collection, and as I said at the opening of the video, it's prices for $23.99 on itch.io if you want to buy it digitally. This is a fantastic, almost like a Super Mario Gianna Sisters style sort of game, and it was certainly released 2017, and it was well received. It is absolutely fantastic stuff. You can see graphically it's pushing ahead of lots of things that obviously pushing way ahead of everything you've probably seen on Commodore 64. It looks fantastic, plays fantastic. It is good stuff. Maybe arguably the best game on here, who knows. that's arguable. I'm pretty sure everyone will have their opinions. This is Shadow Switcher, which is almost like a Jumpman-esque style game, where you sort of have the different characters, you can switch between them. Shadow Switcher, as it's known, a platform puzzle game. Really good. Spin and Image, that's another game from Carlton Handley, which was released last year. I quite enjoyed it. Not quite as addictive as the sort of Picross style game, Grid Picks or Millie Molly, but it's definitely worth a bash. You won't finish it any time in a hurry, and it's quite challenging. I really enjoyed that. You can see it's obviously got Millie and Molly involved in the game as well. You got Steel Ranger, which is a sort of Metroid style shooter. It does feel quite similar to some of the other games on there, like MW Ultra and Hessian. They do seem pretty similar. That's from 2018. And finally, we got one of the best games from 2024. This is Yeti Mountain, and it's a mixture of adventure, RPG style, and a skiing game at the same time. So you're basically, I think, looking for the disappearance of one of your friends or something, and that's it. It's an interesting game. It really is, and it's an interesting collection of games that's on here. And for me, this is probably one of the reasons why you would buy this C64 Mini. No doubt about it. Is for these games. I don't think you would realistically want to have this mini because there's nothing special about it. It's just a little plastic box. But these games make this worthwhile. Obviously, we can add our own games with USB as well, which we'll have a quick brief look at. Now, I'm not going to go into any huge details about it. I'll do that in a future video. I'll have a look at that and then we'll play through each game very briefly. Okay guys, so a little bit more information about the C64 Mini Black Edition. There's information on the website. I'll leave a link in the description. Obviously, to add your own games, get yourself a USB stick of some description. I'll obviously show you the one I'm using. It's a SanDisk Ultra that's a USB 3.0. I think it's a 32 gig, but you really don't need one as large as that. You could easily go for something a lot smaller, like a 4 gig, something like that, or whatever you can get your hands on. And hopefully most of them should work. I'm sure back in the original C64 it was a bit of a pain in the butt, to be honest. I think some USB sticks worked and some didn't. Now there's different here. Obviously you've got the list of games on this website. If you want a detailed list of all the instructions, it's on the website. So we just maybe pick a Pig's Quest. It'll tell you all the controls for starting the game, difficulty, and a little bit of how you actually play the game, which is obviously really helpful because some of the games may be a little bit in depth. You maybe need a little bit of help. I'm sure most games you can get stuck into right enough, but there will be some games you may need a little bit of extra help to actually get playing. And obviously each of the games has all the controls and a little bit about the story, so that's quite helpful indeed. So that's all about the game that's on the website. As I said, I'll leave this link in the description. You've got some various manuals. I'm sure there'll be frequently asked questions as well. So not sure if it's a little bit more in-depth than the one. Yeah, as obviously it's got 114 pages, so this one's a lot more in-depth. So there is a huge section about loading other programs and using your USB stick, so I'm going to just briefly go to that so that you can get a quick idea of what to expect. Okay, so once you've got your USB stick, I think you need to make sure it's sort of formatted to FAT32. Now, word of warning, when you're adding all your games, make sure you don't just dump thousands of ROMs into the one folder. It only basically displays 256 folders or 56 items, so only so many things will show up at the one time. So just bear that in mind. You may need to sort of sort it into A to Z or whatever it is you need to do. But just bear that in mind. Don't dump thousands of ROMs and then you'll be shocked when they don't all appear. So ideally, I think the manual needs a little bit of a clean up because some of the sections are all over the place. The USB formatting process basically shows you or explains how you format your USB stick. Now they have obviously got a 32 gig, so obviously you don't want to go higher than that. It may not actually work as it should. Okay, dropped a couple of ROMs into the USB stick and inserted it into the Mini, and you can see it's appeared on the Mini. So let's have a look at what I've done. Basically, it's just a few ROMs. I've not even created any folders for them, so obviously you can sort this however you please. If you've got tons of ROMs to sort of add, it'll obviously need a little bit of a better structure than that, but obviously we'll just start one or two of them and we'll see. Hopefully it runs absolutely fine. As you can see here, this one is Barnsley Badger, which is actually a game that was added to the original C64 Mini in one of the firmware updates, and it's actually really good. Totally recommend it. certainly works a lot better on this joystick than it did on the original one, I have to say. But still think this is one of the games I would rather play with a sort of joypad rather than the joystick included, but it's not so bad. This joystick is extremely clicky, very clunky as well, but yeah, it still is an improvement over the original. So obviously we'll jump out of that, and we'll go back to the main menu. Oh, and see, it's jumped back to that. That's a little bit unfortunate. Anyway, let's go back, try another one. This is a recently game released on itch.io called Lester, which is a sort of Metroidvania style game, and it's completely free to download. Oh, you want to skip this? You need to press F1. This is a good example to maybe use the virtual keyboard, I guess. Let's see if we can get down to F1 to skip. Yes, it worked. Happy days. Now we can get started into the game. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to load. And there we go. Pretty quick. If you've never played this game before, have a bash. It is actually really, really cool. Certainly one thing that's quite noticeable about the joystick is hypersensitive. There's no doubt about it. It's much more sensitive and probably much more responsive as well than the original. But is it the best way of playing these games? I don't know. I mean, it's obviously going to be a choice, a personal choice at the end of the day. Now let's maybe try one more game. Or I've only added 4, so I might as well actually play all of them. Get the classic Mayhem in Monsterland. Now, if you've never played this game, then give it a bash. Certainly one of the C64's all-time decent games. I can't remember what the release year was. It was certainly near the end. I can't. It was 94, 95, 96, run about then. It was obviously quite long after the sort of C64 heyday, for sure. But yeah, really good game. Again, this might be another one of those games where I'm not really sure the joystick is the best suited for it, especially this one that's included. But it's alright. You can obviously hear it is extremely clicky. But wow, very good game. I really would have wished to have seen this actually on the Carousel itself as well included. Definitely right up there as one of the best C64 sort of football games ever. Absolutely superb. Play ball. What a game. Yeah, probably not the best game to play on this joystick either. I think this is definitely one of those games where you would probably break the joystick easy. One of the games I definitely think this would be a joypad, a sort of D-pad game if there ever was one. Still, what a classic. Okay guys, so that's us looked at adding games on the USB. Pretty straightforward to do, to be honest. I'll maybe cover it in more detail at some point, but obviously we have done that with the original C64 Mini as well. But what I'm going to do now is play through all 25 games very briefly, right enough to sort of try and make sure this video stays to a reasonable length, and then I'll give you my overall thoughts at the end. I'll obviously add chapters so you can jump to each game or whatever game you want to look at. Let's have a look at the games.
Welcome to P0 Snake. Oh no! Get ready. Oh no! Get ready. It's all about gravity.
Okay guys, so my final thoughts on the C64 Mini Black Edition. Now there's no doubt about it, it's all about these games. It's included 25 really decent games from the past few years, modern sort of C64 games, if you will. Absolutely superb stuff. I love pretty much all of them. They are really, really good. Now, I couldn't say that about the original 2017 C64 Mini. There was a real mixed bag of games on that. There was a few pretty poor stuff as well. Obviously, that's only my own opinion. I just didn't think it was the best selection of games, even though I think, if I recall, there's actually 64 games on the original Mini, not including the ones that were added with the firmware update. So there's more games on that, but arguably this is the better value Mini because those 25 games are absolutely superb. No doubt about it. However, there is a few fallouts. Obviously, I felt like maybe some of the save states could be in a better position. I'm really surprised they haven't upgraded the firmware in any way. Obviously, this is probably the latest firmware that was for the C64 Mini, but I feel like there's a few changes that could be put in place. We ideally would like maybe some button mapping, opportunity to change some of the buttons on some of the games. That would be good. Even the control layouts of some of the games, you can find them on the website. However, on here, there is nowhere to see what the controls are for each of the games. So that's something that's missing. It should be there. It was on some of the latest minis, which was really helpful that the Spectrum had that on there. I think the Amiga Mini had as well. So why is it not there? I think it almost feels a little bit like a lazy sort of just add these 25 games and then just let's sell it. I think it would have been nice to get some firmware updates for this. Maybe we'll get that at some point in the future. We'll get maybe the save states in a better position than they are, or at least get those button mapping things sorted out. It would be nice to change it. Now, the included joystick is definitely better than the 2017 version. However, it still isn't good. Let's be honest, it's very clicky. It's more responsive, but it just doesn't suit all of these games. It just doesn't feel right for a lot of these sort of modern retro games. You kind of get the feeling that a lot of these modern games were more designed for a D-pad rather than a joystick. Maybe that's just my gut feeling when I'm playing some of these games, but it just doesn't feel right at all. So probably one of the first things you're going to want to do is swap it for some other controller of some description. You're probably going to have to experiment yourself which ones you feel comfortable with a D-pad or which ones you feel comfortable with a joystick. So again, that is obviously a personal opinion. Now, about the games, I think they're all really, really good. I've actually thoroughly enjoyed them. I have played a lot of these before, so I'm well aware that they're some real classics. A lot of them, they're pretty new to me. A Pig's Quest was definitely a classic from 2023, really good. Caren and the Tangled Tentacles, very difficult to say. It's quite tricky on the controls, so that one takes a little bit of getting used to. Galencia is a really decent shooter, that is nice. A Good Knight is a lot of fun, once you get used to it, it is really good. Grid Picks I absolutely loved. 100 levels, you're not going to finish that soon. It's a great puzzler if you love that type of thing. Guns and Ghosts, quite simple, sort of single screen, clear the enemies type of thing, really good. Hessian was good, but a lot of these games, obviously I haven't done them justice in this video with the time I've spent with them. It's impossible. There's 25 games to get through, and a lot of these games will probably take you a good few hours to actually go through in reality, so I will probably cover them in a later video at some point. Hunter's Moon Remastered is actually a really good, obviously remastered version of the original classic from Thalamus. We've got It's Magic 2, a nice little platforming game, really good. Joe Gun Gold Edition, okay once you get used to the controls. Knight and Grail was an absolute classic. That soundtrack in that game was absolutely mind-blowing. I would happily just sit there and listen to that music. It was so good. Metal Warrior Ultra was good as well. It's quite similar to like Hessian and a couple of other similar games like that. Millie Molly, obviously it starts ridiculously easy, but after you get through maybe 20-30 levels, it gets ferociously tough, but it's a good brain scratcher. I really loved that game. Nixy and the Seeds of Doom was pretty good, quite tricky enough. Probably need to use the save states quite a lot to make progress in that one. Ooze, really enjoyed that one. A bit tricky to get us to the controls, but once you sort of get your head around it, it's pretty good. This one, I'm not sure, the PTO Snake, I need to get used to the controls. I think once you get used to that, you'll probably master that one pretty well. Pains and Aches is the Knight and Grail sequel, which seemed really good as well. Planet Golf, wow, that is so addictive, that game. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will get completely hooked on that game. It is so good. Some strange level designs later on, right? But wow, really good game. Rocky Memphis is really good, Indiana Jones sort of style rip-off thing, but yeah, that's pretty good. It reminded me more like Rick Dangerous in a way, but it's really good. Run N Gunn, really good, quite a short game, right enough. Sam's Journey, probably the classic you want to buy this for. It's decent, really decent game. game. It is outstanding, and as I said, this one sells for quite a lot of money in itch.io. Shadow Switcher is really good as well, pretty tricky. Spinning Image I really enjoy. The music might be a little bit annoying right enough, but it's a good game. Steel Ranger, another sort of really nice sort of Metroid style game as well. Yeti Mountain, the sort of classic from 2024, that is so good, really, really good. Lots of mixed genres of game, but overall, what a great collection of games. It really is all about these games for this mini. And yeah, I know there is other ways to play these games now with all the different sort of Chinese emulation devices and loads of other sort of ways. So it's not necessary that you need to buy this to play these games. Obviously, you can buy them all separately and play them how you see fit. But it's nice to have that Black Edition Mini. It does look really nice. And those games, absolutely superb. I really enjoy it, and I'm going to definitely be playing a lot of these games far more than it. The emulation is really good as well. I didn't find any issues at all how it's presented in the emulation. Hopefully we'll get some firmware updates to fix a few sort of things here and there, but overall it's really good. It's a great little mini with great games on it. Fantastic stuff. You will not be disappointed with this. Again guys, thanks very much for watching. We'll catch you again in the next one. Bye for now.